Hey guys, this is the first video, I guess, in what I'm thinking is probably going to be a series. Um, and what I'm hoping to do with this is to give you practical steps to moving into a new way of being, at least for a short period of time. Because I mean, at this point, we're sort of, I mean, to use a trite expression, we're making lemonade out of lemons, right? So there's stuff going on that you can't control. That's probably very triggering. And I think there's a lot that's out there right now about, oh, just enjoy it and figure it out and blah, blah, blah. But there's not that much practical information for how you can step by step do that. So that's what I want to offer. I'm going to do a series of videos, hopefully, where I'm going to give you some practical steps for moving into this situation in which we find ourselves, right? Where suddenly we're at home and maybe your kids are at home if you have kids, or you're working from home, which you never did before, or you feel very isolated, or you're scared because of your physical safety or economic safety, physical safety, the roof over your head is threatened. There's so much that's possible. And as long as you have a computer or a phone and an internet connection, I can offer you some help. I'm far away. So I'm offering it to those who want it and who want to explore this with me. The first one that I'm going to do today, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about change. Because change is something that a lot of people have great difficulty with. And it's something that I think if you can learn how to, or if any of us, I don't mean to say you, if any of us can learn how to embrace change that is nothing if not a constant in our lives, it's been really dramatic in the last week or two, you can weather anything. It is a skill being able to deal with change. And it's one that I think a lot of us struggle with. So, and it can be a key to a lot of other things, which I can go into at another time. But right now, we've all had a major shift in what our expectations were for tomorrow, next week, next month, maybe even 3 months down the line. We have no idea what's coming. And that can be really frightening. So what can we do right now to help us be here where we are right now in this scary moment, potentially? What sort of opportunities can we take advantage of to find joy in these moments, to find playful moments in this time? Because it's there. It is possible to do that. But first, I think we have to get to a point where we're okay. We're at least starting to feel okay about where we are. Now, for a lot of us, the problem with change is control. When we feel like we don't have control over stuff, we get anxious. And the truth is, and this can be related to a lot of different things, but the truth is, in the end, we have no control over anything. Okay, none. We don't have control over anything. The only thing that we have any control over is how we react to any particular situation, to any particular person, to any particular set of circumstances. That's the only thing we have control over. Anything else we think we have control over is an illusion. And if there was ever a teaching moment for that, it's right now. Because we're all realizing we don't have control over anything, I think. And that is, again, a very scary thing. So what can you control? You can control how you react to any particular situation. So here's the situation we find ourselves in right now. Here we are, a lot of us isolating at home, finding that we are having a lot of time to fill, maybe. Maybe we don't have as much work as we did. Maybe we don't have any work. Maybe we have people at home we didn't expect to be home, whether that's a partner or a friend or a roommate or kids or anybody else. Even your dog maybe went out for daycare and you're not used to having your dog home. And in fact, mine has not been to daycare, but he may pop up. So I'm just going to put that out there, especially if anybody comes around. So getting back to what can you do so that you feel that you yourself are not out of control, that you are responding to this situation in the best way possible, making the best possible lemonade out of the lemons, if you consider them lemons, because you may not even consider them lemons, but there's a lot of potential lemon out there. And here's what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to take you through a sort of guided visualization. It's going to be very short. It's actually only ever as long as you want it to be. And I'll explain that in a second. But I want you to visualize some stuff. I'm going to ask you to maybe write down a couple of things, or at least think about a couple of things. And then hopefully by the end of a fairly short period of time, you may have a sort of a roadmap for how you can look at the situation differently, how you can change this perspective a little bit. And because even just shifting it a little bit will, I think, help any of us that are having any anxiety. And to be honest, part of the way I'm managing my anxiety is by doing things like making this video. What can I do? I want to do something. That's what we all want to do, something. So thank you for allowing me to do this. It's my dog slurping water in the background. And again, he may pop up. So the first thing I think we all need to do, probably, I certainly need to do this right now as I'm attempting to make my first video, is to take a deep breath, right? Oh, and by the way, I'm Catherine Jones. Did I not say that before? Sorry. But I guess if you're on here via Facebook, you may know that. Anyway. Okay, deep breath first, right? Let's do another one because there's a lot going on. Let me make a point here too. Anytime that you're feeling anxious, close your mouth and breathe through your nose, okay, as much as possible. Breathing through your mouth, i.e. panting, is a sign to your autonomic nervous system that something's wrong and that it needs to prepare to either freeze, flee, or fight, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this. So don't give your nervous system that idea when you're at home, right? Trying to figure your day out, because that's just not going to be helpful to you. So close your mouth, breathe through your nose. That's just a really practical way to quell the early stages of maybe a panic attack or some anxiety that you're feeling. Close your mouth, breathe through your nose. The next thing that I would like you to do is I want you to just be where you are. Think about where you're sitting, okay? I mean, I don't want to use too many like new agey, overused, trite expressions, because one of the things that I want to do is I want to try to be very, very practical. And for people who've never meditated or visualized anything, I want this to be a process that you feel like you can engage in to help you. Because I do think those things are extremely valuable, particularly right now. But there's an awful lot of us out there who haven't done any of that before. And so it's very foreign. And again, we have enough change right now. So something foreign may not be immediately attractive. So I want you to, it's called grounding, okay? For those of you who aren't familiar with it. If you've ever been to a yoga class or a meditation class, you've probably heard it. If you haven't, you may not have. So the idea is just to feel your body, essentially. What I want you to do is I want you to use your 5 senses, right? So I want you to feel your butt on the chair if you're in a chair. And I want you to feel your feet on the floor if your feet are on the floor. I have one foot on the floor. Actually, it's the ball of my foot that's on the floor right now, and I have my legs crossed. So I can feel one leg on top of the other. I want you to notice where your body is touching other parts of your body, whether that's your legs, your hands, your arms. If you're leaning against the back of a chair, feel that chair on your back. Feel the quality of the air around you. What's the temperature? Try not to judge it. Try not to think, oh, it's bad or it's good or I'm cold or I'm hot. Just notice it. Is it warm? Is it cool? You can also, pay attention to what you can see. Right now I'm looking out of the window and it's actually snowing here in Idlewild right now. So I'm watching some snow gather on the pine trees outside of my window and the umbrella and the heater on my porch, which I haven't been able to use yet. So Just notice that. Notice what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what you're hearing. What do you hear? Do you hear the hum of the refrigerator? Do you hear your dog lapping water in the background? Do you hear kids in the distance? Do you hear whatever it is? And again, just notice it. It's just a question of noticing it. But what that does is that allows you to be in your body and not in your head. Okay. So anytime that you start to feel anxious, close your mouth and drop into your senses. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you hearing? What are you tasting? Okay. Where are you in space? Where is your body? Are you in bed? Are you sitting down on a sofa? Are you in a chair? Are you standing? Whatever it is, just notice it. Start paying attention. Check your senses off. Okay. And that will immediately bring you back into your body. That will ground you in your body, which is really, really important when we're feeling anxious. And change is certainly something that can just change alone, any kind of change. Even if you think about it, people getting married, right, which should be a good sort of change, causes a lot of stress, right? So it doesn't even have to be something scary to cause anxiety. Any change causes anxiety generally. So that's why it's good to be able to notice when you're feeling anxious about change and then to be able to do something about it so that you don't feel so anxious, so that you can enjoy the change, so that you can enjoy the wedding, or that you can find a way to enjoy even something that might be at first glance stressful or difficult or challenging. So you're breathing, ground yourself in your body, feel where you are, okay? See it sitting, standing, lying down, whatever it is. And the next thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is to just get comfortable. Whether that's lying down somewhere, sitting in a comfortable chair, sitting in a comfortable seat, you sit on the floor, whatever it is. I'm going to stay here in this chair so that I can stay with the video. It might be harder to do if I'm sitting on my bed, which is one of my favorite places to work generally. So now what I want you to do is I want you to think about your day. The day that you had last week, the day that you considered normal, the one that, where you got up and you had a morning routine. And if you had kids, you got your kids up and off to school maybe, and you got yourself to work, or you helped get a partner to work, or you were by yourself and you did it. Whatever it is, you probably had a routine. Most of us have a routine. And that routine helps us feel safe, right? That helps us feel safe when things are getting weird. Right? And that's one of the reasons this particular set of circumstances with the coronavirus and isolation and quarantine is a particularly difficult change, because it has wiped routine out for the vast majority of us. Have no routine anymore. And even those that are still maybe, going outside of the house to work every day, your routine is blown too, because things are shifting so fast and there's so much going on. So what was your routine? What did you do? What happened? And I want you to go through your whole day, okay? And what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to, if you're comfortable with it, there's two different ways to do this. You can either close your eyes and see your day from the time you get up to the time you go to bed, okay? See your whole day. Just watch yourself do your day, whatever it was. And if that's standing by the water cooler, having a chat with somebody in the office, the time you normally went to lunch, what did you normally do for lunch? What did you do in the afternoon? Did you have, around 3:00, did you have to go get a cup of coffee because you started to get tired? Whatever it is that you did, I want you to see the whole thing. Okay. Good, bad, indifferent. Try not to judge it, but just see it. Okay. If you're not someone who feels comfortable or feels like you can see that, you can visualize it, write it down. Just take a pad of paper in your comfortable spot and just write down. Get up, brush teeth, make coffee, make breakfast, whatever it is. I want you to just write it down. Just write down a list of what happened during your typical day, okay, and your typical routine. So what I'm going to say now is I want you to pause the video, take as long as you need to do that, and then we're going to come back and talk about that for a second, okay? So pause the video now. Bye. Now I'm going to assume that you have done that piece. You have either visualized your day that you had as of last week before everything changed, or you've written it down in a list. Okay. Now what I want you to do is I want you to think about 3 things from that day that you can keep. right? That whatever has happened in the outside world, outside of you, what are the 3 pieces of your day that you can keep, right? Whether that's when you get up and make a cup of coffee, whether that's the time that you normally ate lunch, whether it's the time you normally took a break, whether it's the time you normally got coffee in the afternoon, whether it's some exercising that you did, whether it's some meditation that you did, whether it's, chatting with some friends, whatever it is, I want you to figure out what you can take forward with you. What can you incorporate into your day now, whatever that is starting to look like? What can you do? That's the same. What routines are going to be helpful to you to help you stay grounded? Because that's what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to stay grounded so that you can be like the mountain in the middle of the storm, right? So that you can be the mountain, because the storm can come at a mountain, right? But the mountain doesn't change. Things may happen to the mountain, some rocks may roll, a couple of trees may come down, but the mountain doesn't change. The mountain doesn't get up and move. It doesn't get mad at the rain or the storm. It just is. And so the goal eventually would be that you're the mountain and that you just sit and you don't worry about the storm raging around you. You can watch it. You can watch the trees fall and you can watch the rocks roll and you can say, okay, I'm still a mountain. That may be a ways off, and that's okay. It is for all of us, I think, right? But I want you to figure out what parts of your routine can you keep. At least 3, okay? And then the next thing that I want you to do is I invite you to figure out what you would like your day to look like now. Understanding the parameters in which you find yourself. What do you want your day to look like now? And take it through the whole day again. Do the same thing where what you're, you can write it down or you can visualize it. And even if you visualize it, it might be helpful to then go write it down as well, because writing helps ingrain things in our heads particularly if you're someone who's a kinetic learner, who learns by doing. So that's what I invite you to do now. I invite you to envision your day. Like, what would a good day, understanding whatever responsibilities you have and whatever changes have come along because of the situation with the virus in which we find ourselves, what would a good day look like to you? Would it, and feel free to incorporate things you haven't been able to do. What haven't you had the time to do? Is it read a particular book? Is it exercise? Is it meditate? Is it take a walk? Because we can take a walk. I mean, you can still go outside and take a walk, right? We don't have to be holed up in the house all day long. We just can't gather in groups. So don't take a walk with 10 people, right? Or more than 10 people. So this is what I'm going to encourage you to do now. Turn the video off again, and I want you to go through your day as you would want it to be. Whatever that looks like for you, okay? So turn the video off by, again, either write it down or visualize it, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more, okay? So here I am. I haven't figured all this video stuff out. So I'm just saying this is still very much a work in progress. Hopefully I'll get better at it. So now, hopefully you've now come up with a day that incorporates the 3 things that you're bringing forward from the day that you had last week, let's say, whatever your typical day was. And now you've developed a day as you want it to be. Like, what's the day that you would like to have? What kind of day would make you feel good at the end of it? When you're getting in bed and you can look back and say, oh, wow, that was a good day, right? Hopefully you've got a little bit of perspective on like what your day could look like. What could be incorporated into it that's been missing? Because as we've led these incredibly busy lives, we've gotten addicted to constantly being on the go, constantly moving. Even your weekends, you're here and you're there. And maybe if you've got kids, you're taking them to this lesson and that team sport and whatever. And if you don't have children, you're off to the gym, or you're working because you're working on the weekend, or we're not very good at being still And that also is going to make us anxious. But if we can own that and find a way to embrace this change, even though it's not necessarily happening for what seems like a good reason, right? But if we can find a way, this is an opportunity to slow down, to take a moment, to figure out what is it that I do want my day to look like? Because then when things shift again, and they will at some point, there will be changes. I think there will be a shift, but there will be that opportunity to maybe bring some of these things that you were able to find during this time into whatever happens next. And hopefully you will find yourself being less anxious about change. That's the goal here, right? So just to sum up, because I don't want these to go on too long, just to sum up, I think change, any kind of change, even good change, causes anxiety or can cause anxiety in us, right? So just know that, one. So it's normal. It's fine. 2, breathe. Okay? Breathe. I know it happens automatically, but sometimes the automatic breathing is being ruled by our primal reptilian brain, which is telling us to be upset or worried about something. Try to resist that. Breathe. Breathe calmly. Close your mouth. Breathe through your nose. Okay? 2, drop into your senses. Feel your body. Where is it? Where is it in space? How is it feeling? Drop into your emotions too. Check in. Just check in all over. And you can do this constantly throughout the day, by the way. You can do this while you're standing at the sink doing your dishes. You can do this while you're cleaning. You can do this while you're cleaning out a drawer or a closet, if that's a project you've decided to take on while you're home. You can do this anytime. Anytime you can check into your 5 senses and see what's going on, whether you're inside or outside. Okay? It doesn't have to be something that you're doing at one particular moment once a day. This could be done constantly. And it's a way to check in on the anxiety, allow it to come down. And then the other thing that I would suggest or invite you to do is to every morning when you wake up, visualize the day you want to have. Visualize how you want to feel about it, and visualize what activities that you could do would allow you to feel good about your day. What really needs to be done and what doesn't really have to be done. And if you find yourself feeling like, oh, I got to go do this or I've got to go do that, check back in. Do you really need to do that? Is that something that needs to be done? And then there's going to be curveballs, like a dog or a kid or another person. How are you going to respond to that? How are you going to incorporate that? You can't predict it. So how are you going to incorporate it when it happens? And just giving a little bit of thought to that every morning, I know for myself at least, helps to set yourself up, to put yourself in a good place for dealing with whatever comes. Okay? So I hope that was helpful. Little practice of sort of mini visualizations there. Again, they could last as long as you want. Feel free to do this again. And I'll be putting up another video. I may do a couple of them in quick succession so that people have access to them if they want. And I think the next one may well be about fear, but we'll see where we go. So anyway, good luck. Try to have fun. Try to remember to play. And I will see you soon. Thanks. Bye.